Here, right now, we have a 1/4" roughing end mill. We're going to switch it out for that 1/8" bit that we were talking about. And I also have the 1/8" collet on here as well. So there's the 1/8" collet, there's the bit, and I'm going to switch them out. So we'll start off by putting the 2 wrenches in like this. And I have the small one on the top and the bottom, the big one on the bottom. And the small one is on my left hand and the big one is on my right hand. And if I pull these together, it will loosen the bit and then they'll be able to come out. So you can see it came out. Now I'm going to unscrew the nut all the way, and I takes out the collet for the 1/4". And now I can swap them out for the 1/8" collet. And Dennis has a video on like how to insert that, but usually I'll try to put in as much as a shank as possible. Not making sure it doesn't touch the top of the collet, like top of the inside of this router. The more shank you're holding on to, the more secure it's going to be. It's all good. And you'll probably notice this red button. There are times where these will crack if you put too much force on them. So we generally don't recommend using the red button. Use the 2 wrenches if possible. Next, we're going to do the work holding. So as we were talking about before, there's a bunch of work holding options. The one that I'm going to use for this project is just to screw it down. Now we're going to move it all the way to the back so that I can get to mounting the material to the wasteboard. G-Sender has a jog function, so click on the +Y. It'll jog all the way back. Because we're using plywood, this one's a little bit bent, as you can see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to screw down the material on all 4 corners, and it'll flatten itself out. And the next step will be to move the end mill to the material, and then we can start cutting. Okay, secure. So next step is going to be jogging the machine back to the bottom left corner. In G-Sender, you can change the distance that each button press takes so that it makes it a little easier to find its position. So I'm going to set it to normal so I can get it up to the corner. I have to set the origin point based on the material. So as you remember in easel, we set it to the bottom left corner. And so now that the machine is at the bottom left corner, the only thing I need to do, which is to set the 0 on the Z-axis. So right now the bit is slightly above the material. I just need to make sure that that bit is right at the surface of the material. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. One example is to use something called a touch plate. What it does is it goes onto the corner of the material, and then by creating a circuit between the controller and the router, it's able to find the 0 point based on like where it touches off on the surface and of the block. There's other content and videos on how to use this on our resources. However, for the context of this project, we don't really need to use it, so I'm just going to skip it altogether. The method that we can use is called the paper method, and then you put it under the bit, and then you jog the machine down until you can feel resistance. So right now I can't move the paper around. I'm going to change to precise mode on G-Sender, and then jog it just a little bit until I can feel that the gap, there's this very, very small gap between the paper and the bit. Basically what that means is now the distance between the wood and the end of the bit should be roughly the size of the thickness of the paper sliced slightly a little bit. So right now our DRO is showing our position as -80, -279.5, and -75.40. When I press 0 all, now it'll set that position at 0, 0, 0. So I'm going to jog the machine up a little bit so that when it moves to the first part to the other part, it won't scratch the surface. Now that we have the router set up, the computer set up, the machine set up, materials on the wasteboard, everything's good, I'm going to turn the router on and start the job. All right, we've just finished our first cut. I'm gonna move it back so I can get to the pieces and then we'll take a look. Looks like they cut all the way through. Looks pretty okay. Got to sand the edges, it's chipped a little bit. But yeah, you know, it's the nature of these things. Cool. So I'm gonna unscrew this, put on new sheet, cut another batch, and then we'll do the tops. The sheet is too small. Okay, I'm just gonna change the sheets. All right, same steps. Material secure, bits in the chuck, turn on the router, everything's zeroed, start the job. Move this back. Yay, it's all cut through. Now we have all these legs. That can slot together. There you go. Ta-da! So that's the base part, and then we'll put the top on. I'm gonna put in the dimensions on easel again, and then start putting the leaf top part of the project on here, and we'll get going on that. So the width I have is 48 by 23 here. So I'm gonna move the leaf onto the material, and then set the cut depth to 1/2 inch. And width height all looks good. This looks all good. Export download G-code. Top leaf, save. Go to G-Sender, load the file, top leaf. Looks good. I'm gonna start from here, and then I'm gonna set the Z. Good. 0 all. Cool. Let's get this show on the road. I'm gonna turn on, check material's good, router's in, bits are in, everything's zeroed. Turn on the router and start the job. Leaf is done. Oh, there you go. Look at that. We have a leaf. Cool, looks pretty good. I changed out the bits. I think maybe the one that I was using before was a little dull, just like me, but. Hello from the other side. Wish that there was 1,000 times. I tell you I'm sorry. We're breaking your heart. It's us. We tear apart more. We're on to the last step, which is to make the base part of the leaf. So I have this loaded up here, and I got my material here. So I'll just measure this and then make sure that it fits. So this one's a little bit trickier because we have these inside holes that need to slot in with the material, and then we have the outside. So for the outside outline, we want to cut from the how do I say? We want to cut the lead out, and then we want to cut the inside holes from the inside so that the hole size is the correct one. What I'll do is I'll select each one, select each of these holes, and then choose cut the inside shape. Now it's like that, and then we're going to do that with each one. And I'm going to save the project, download G-code, and save it as bottom leaf. Now I'm going to go to GSender, load up the bottom leaf, open that. There you go. Do the paper test again. I've only left with this small amount now, but that's all we need for this last bit. Okay, perfect. Let's get this show on the road. Alrighty, last part is done. Beautiful. All right, so we have our 2 leaf parts, and then we have our 4 legs here. So I'll show you guys how to put it together. So the feet, they go in like a pattern, but it's easy to show you. So start off by connecting the 2 like this, and the 3rd one like this. And then this last one, it's a little bit tricky because you gotta lift up the leg like this and then kind of slot all of them together at the same time. There you go. So now you have the base. Next, we have the bottom half of the leaf, which basically slots in like this. And then you put the final leaf on top. And there you have it. So obviously, like, you can glue all this, you can sand all this, glue it, clamp it together, and you have a final fully working table here. But yeah, it should look something like this. That's the table. If you want to make your own, I'll put the links to the design and the DXFs online, so anyone can download it and make their own. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We hope you enjoyed our course. We covered topics such as what is a CNC machine, what does a CNC machine do, topics like work holding, setting up the machine, using different software, and all sorts of different stuff. And we hope that after this, you feel more confident that you are able to do some of the projects like the ones we did today. If you want to learn more, make sure to check out our resources and our YouTube channel. We'll have all the links for everything in the description or wherever you're looking at this video, and we'll also have the project files available. Thanks for watching.